and welcome to the Week 13 edition of the Monster Pod. Matt Brown, Mo Nuwwarah coming to you, presented by The Lines. As always, everything you do, absolutely free. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button down below. Do appreciate you guys supporting this channel. Got up over 50,000 subscribers. Let's go ahead and hit 100 while we are at it. Of course, upper right-hand corner of TheLines.com also is the Discord. That is absolutely free as well. I got some bets in the account. Mo's got some bets in the account, so let's get right on to it here. Tennessee Titans on the road at the Washington Commanders. This is 6.5 in favor of the Commanders. 44.5 is our total here in this one. People bet the Titans for 8 straight weeks, Mo, and then finally they got it done. The Titans finally cashed a ticket for the people that were betting the Titans all year long. Taking a little bit of love here this week. And that said, Commanders team, I'm curious as to your thoughts here. Are you in the camp of people actually do figure out Cliff Kingsbury and all of that? Because here we are yet again, where a team that started off red hot, number one in all the efficiency metrics on offense, has now looked like absolute garbage over the last month here. And people keep pointing to this deal about people figure Cliff out. People figure Cliff out. They get some film and they figure Cliff out. That said, they are still big 6-point favorites here over Tennessee.
Yeah, I kind of am. I think I don't consider him to be one of the sharper coordinators.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think somewhat this Washington defense regressing to the talent level that I think everybody thought they had in the preseason. You know, hats off to Dan Quinn. I think he's done an amazing job, but there's only so much you can do. You know, it kind of reminds me of the Vikings last year when, you know, very well coordinated by Brian Flores, but at the end of the day, the players just weren't that great. So back half of the year, people started exploiting them a little more. I think that might be what we're seeing a little bit here with Washington too. This team just never had very good talent on that side of the ball. Now in this matchup, you are seeing a Titans team that has been beaten through the air at times. So I think the offense could get back on track here. I'm hoping they do. I'm stuck holding the bag on another one here from look aheads. I took some -7. Obviously did not expect Washington to just get smacked by the Cowboys as 10-point favorites. So that one probably hurt this number. But yeah, this is going to be all about like not running into the teeth of this Titans defense. And then can, you know, Washington bounce back a little bit on D? I think so. I'm slightly optimistic that I'm still going to get there. My fare here now was like 6.5, I think. So I understand the love for the Titans. They are playing better. Will Levis is playing better. So I get it. I'm not considering myself dead yet, though.
No, I could not possibly see myself taking points with Will Levis on the road and him trying to have to put together back-to-back good performances. Like, we are coming into this with the best game that Will Levis has ever played as a pro, right? And so, like, that's our last memory of this Titans team, is the best game that Will Levis ever played in the NFL. And we're somehow forgetting the other massive sample size we have of him being complete and utter dumpster fire garbage trash. So, yeah, I mean, I know you'd rather have the 6 than the 7. I think the 6 is the only play here. No way in the hell am I backing Will Levis to have 2 good games in a row, especially out there on the road. Los Angeles Chargers on the road at the Atlanta Falcons. This is 1.5 in favor of the Chargers on the road. 47.5 is our total here in this one. Mo, it finally happened. It was the reason why I was lower on the Chargers coming into this season than basically everybody in the market. And all it took was 12 weeks for it to finally happen, where the wide receiving core completely let down Justin Herbert, and it ended up costing them a game. 6 drops in that game, 3 of which came just by Quentin Johnston alone. And, you know, Justin Herbert can only do so much. And we see them head on the road now to a Falcons team coming out of a bye as 1-point favorites. Do you think that they bounce back here against this Falcons squad?
I don't. I took the Falcons. I know that everyone else is also on the Falcons, but I couldn't help myself here. I think the Falcons should be favored. Like you said, really good spot off a bye. Chargers, big travel. And just facing a team that is very good at running the ball here in the Falcons. Denzel Perryman is hurt. He's kind of their tackling machine linebacker. I think that may have been part of the reason the Ravens were able to truck them on the ground. Could see the Falcons doing something similar here. This Falcons team, we have seen them get in trouble many times this year, and it's usually when teams can pressure their immobile quarterback and they're kind of in must-pass situations. I don't know if they're going to be in that here.
Yeah.
Should be able to pound the rock on this Chargers team without their top tackling linebacker. And that's what the Falcons want to do anyway. You know, they are very good at it. There's probably less than 3 backs in the league I'd rather have handing off against a beatable run defense compared to Bijan Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
It might only be Saquon Barkley at this point. So I think it's a good matchup for the Falcons offense. Can their defense get stops? That might be a bit trickier, but they are healthier on that side of the ball. Got their linebacker, Troy Anderson, back. They still have quality safeties. So I think they can at least get a few stops, and I think their offense is going to have a good day here. So I do think the Falcons are good at anything under -2, to be honest.
Yeah. I played a little under 48.5. This is a game, like you said, I handicapped the same way you did. It's kind of an alternate version of the Falcons winning, me playing the under, because I think if they have control in this game, it's going to be on the ground with those 2 running backs, actually utilizing what they do best and attacking what would be the weakness of this Chargers team as well. I'm hoping that there is rational coaching in this game, though the assumption of rational coaching has always bit me in the ass. But I played the under at 48.5, which is basically the same handicap that you have, which is, hey, the Falcons run the ball. They run the ball good. They run the ball well. And with that, they control the clock and keep this thing at least manageable from a scoring perspective. So 47.5's out there in the market right now. 48, not like the most key of number when it comes to totals. So I think still playable there at 47.5 as well. Pittsburgh Steelers on the road at the Cincinnati Bengals. You would think if you looked at the records and you don't pay attention to the betting markets, you can be like, oh, Steelers are favored by what? I'm like, no, they are not. They are 2.5 to 3-point underdogs here on the road to Cincinnati. 47 all the way to 48 out there in the market as far as totals go. Cincinnati coming out of a bye as well in this one. And my problem here is this. Like, my problem with laying a field goal with Cincinnati is the handicap is that basically they have to go outscore the other team. There is no scenario that exists where this defense needs to get a key stop and they actually get the key stop. They've been atrocious all year long. We've not seen the adjustments that we saw last season that kind of helped out with this defense. And so, you know, I love Cincinnati as 3-point dogs. I just don't know about Cincinnati as 3-point favorites.
This one, I got a good early number. I got Bengals -1. So.
Oh, yeah. See, yeah, you got a great number.
This was my win out of the early numbers.
Yes.
But at 3, I'm not excited about it. I just think it seems pretty fair. Like, I think the Bengals are probably a better team than the Steelers.
I do too.
But, like, 3 reflects that, right? So, I don't know. I don't know that I would be excited to play it at 3. The total seems a tad high to me, perhaps. But would I want to be in a spot where I need the Bengals to get stops? Probably not. We have seen the Steelers over the past years have trouble with some of the higher volume passing offenses where, you know, their defenses do often perform better against some of the less explosive teams, the teams that like to run the ball. Joe Burrow does take some sacks at times. That concerns me in this matchup a bit, but overall, I do think the Bengals should be able to move the ball. I mean, really cold game here, so could see a little bit of depressed offense. I just think, the Bengals are probably better. They are off the bye. They are at home, but given how weak home field has been this year, it's hard for me to get them past 3. I would still lean Bengals at 3, but don't think I would play them.
Yeah, it's kind of a lean there for me too, but nothing I could put in the account at the 3 right now. I think the one thing that I would look at, and I'm trying to see if it is posted yet, and it does not look like it is. Oh, there it is. So, wow, never mind. The books got the hint. I was going to say George Pickens, longest reception, because like he's just getting 5 Hail Marys a game, like, you know, whatever. They put it all the way out at 29.5 now. So like he's got to get a 30-yard catch in the game. I was like, if this is like 21-22, like it's going to be over. He's got to get a 30-yard catch. Okay, well, the books have adjusted to the to what Russell Wilson wants to do, so never mind. I'll take that out of discussion here. Jesus, on principle, you almost have to play the under. Like, dude's got to get a 30-yard catch.
That's not that easy to do. I was sitting here thinking, I think normal lines are like in the high teens and like,
yeah, 29.5. I mean, I'm going to go the other side now. I actually think that's an under. I think you just on principle have to play the under. I mean, a 30-yard catch is that's just a low percentage throw most of the time. Like, I mean, it's just because Pickens isn't necessarily the catch it at 10 yards and take it 20 yards guy. Like they're throwing it to him 30 yards down the field. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting that the books have certainly caught up on Russell Wilson and what he wants to do there in that one. Indianapolis Colts on the road at the New England Patriots. This is 2.5 universally. That said, it is juiced towards the Colts as 2.5 point favorites. 42.5 is our total here in this one. Mo, I'm just going to kind of keep riding it. And this one I feel less enthused about because it is the Colts, but I've just been playing these Patriots overs. They continue to hit. The defense is so bad, and there's like just enough fight in this Patriots team to like put a few points on the board. It's a very low total at 42.5. I think the Colts, if they do what they should do, should be able to score some points on the Patriots. We get a defense in the Colts coming back on the other side for Drake May and them that has not been good either. So again, this one I'm not as in love with as some of the other ones, but just continuing to ride this whole Patriots are kind of an over team for me moving forward.
Yeah, I've been with you. We smacked that Miami over. I thought for a second we were going to need 48 from Miami to get there, but the Patriots came to life, thankfully for us. This one, the number looks a bit low, but then it is going to be another cold weather game and a game where I'm concerned about these Patriots, these Colts injuries in their receiving core. Alec Pierce has been doing work for these guys. He's usually good for like one or two big plays a game. And then you have Josh Downs, who's probably been, man, I don't want to I don't want to throw shade on my guy Jonathan Taylor right now, but he's probably been their best weapon, honestly, that they've had this year.
Yeah.
So,
and he is already ruled out. So he is officially out.
Yeah. And Alec Pierce hasn't practiced. Usually that's a pretty bad sign at this point in the week. At the same time, this Indy offense is probably being a little bit undervalued after last week. I mean, they should have scored more than 6 points.
Yes.
So there was that. I'm terrified of this game as a person who very much needs Patriots losses for the rest of the year. I can only afford one more win, and I'm really scared it's going to come in this game because the floor is just so low with Anthony Richardson. I mean, I can't lay points with this guy, basically, is what I'm getting at. Like, if you want to play the Patriots, just play Patriots money line, play Patriots minus 2.5, maybe play some Patriots minus 3.5. I mean, the bad Anthony Richardson games are probably going to result in Patriots wins, and if he comes out and plays well and people actually catch the ball, like Indy can probably win this game by 10. So I kind of like alts either way with this game.
I agree with Indy a ton. Like the deal with Indy is like the polls are just so far apart, and like that's how you always have to play. Like a good Anthony Richardson game could be a double-digit win here against the Patriots, and like a floor game from Anthony Richardson could equal, like you said, a more than a field goal win for New England. And I think that's very within the range of outcomes in this game. I mean, Drake May, for what it's worth, has looked competent since he's taken over. He just doesn't have any talent around him. I mean, there's no players on that team, but he's at least looked competent. And so if Anthony Richardson does give it to them a couple of times with short fields, I think New England can put some points on the board. So I'm with you on that for sure. I think this is a play the tails game and kind of go with it from there. Again, I have an over 42.5 in the account. Not in love with it, but I'm going to keep riding it until the Patriots let me down. Houston Texans on the road at the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is 3.5 in favor of the road Texans. 44.5 is our total. We get word that the Jags want to play Trevor Lawrence in this game. bad organizations are just going to be bad. So cool. Run out this guy that you gave this massive extension to in the offseason, hurt in a dead season. Good idea. That's always smart. Good job, Jacksonville Jaguars. Texans, obviously still a ton to play for here, Mo.
Yeah, I took some Jaguars in this one. It's gross, but I took some 4.5, and I think they're a really, really good play in the various contests this week, because I think a lot of people are going to go for the Texans in this spot where they just expect the Jags to roll over and the Texans to get back on track. I can't lay points anything over 3 right now with this Texans team. Not the way they're playing offense. I mean, it just looks disjointed. Obviously, there's one extremely I don't know how the Jags are going to slow down Nico Collins. He has a dream situation here against an atrocious secondary, but CJ Stroud is not playing that well at this point. I was really impressed with him early in the season. I thought he was making a lot of throws under pressure, but I feel like
people look at me like so I say this on my show on VSiN all the time. I'm not saying CJ Stroud is bad, but like two things can be true at the same time, which is that he has definitely regressed. That's just because the guy has regressed doesn't mean he's bad. And I'm trying to say, hold two thoughts in your brain at the same time. And it's yes, he can still be a good quarterback while also just admitting that he is not playing at the level that we thought that he was going to play at over the course of this season. And I think that you feel the same way about him.
Yeah, and Tank Dell not playing as well. I mean, the weapons aren't what we thought they were going to be. Obviously, Stephon Diggs out for the year. And the offensive line I think some of what's happening to him reminds me a little bit of Patrick Mahomes, where it's clear he doesn't trust his tackles. And I think it's maybe a little more the interior at times for the Texans. But even Laramie Tunsil hasn't been that great this year. Nothing about this offense is a situation where I'm looking to or thinking they deserve to be laying 4.5 points on the road. I was 4.5 in a divisional game. And yeah, I mean, the Jags should play better. They are going to have a real professional quarterback in there. That was disgusting what Mac Jones did. So guessing they should be getting a bump. It's just a bit too high for me. I still think 3.5. You can get some 3.5s at 105, I think, and I think that's still fine.
Yeah, I mean, this Texans team over the last 4 weeks, that 2 of those weeks included having Nico Collins back. Over the last 4 weeks, are 25th in the NFL in EPA per play. I mean, this offense has not worked. This offense has not been working for the last month of the season. And so I don't know, even against a Jags team that, has been able to be gotten here and there, I don't know what would lead us to believe that they're just going to all of a sudden wake up here on the road against a team coming out of a bye that, like I said, is actually going to start a real quarterback. So no way I would be laying that with the Texans. Arizona Cardinals on the road at the Minnesota Vikings. This is 3.5 in favor of the Vikings at home over the Cardinals. 44.5 to 45 is our total here in this one. Vikings came back down to earth at least a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. I think that was probably expected. I don't think we all thought that all of a sudden Sam Darnold was friggin', Joe Montana out there or anything. And so they've come back down to earth at least a little bit. But I think everyone was waiting on the regression from the defense, Mo, and that really hasn't come. I mean, they have put some really good teams, some really good quarterbacks, and made them look silly along the way here. And so hats off to Flores and what he's been able to continue to do. Arizona Cardinals, though, are getting more than a field goal on the road.
Yeah, there's been some love for the Cardinals here, man. I mean, some real love for the Cardinals. I think this was a juicy 3.5 early in the week, minus 115. And I saw some threes, and I think, like you said, it's kind of been going a little bit back and forth maybe in some spots, but market definitely likes the Cardinals here. I kind of lean the other way, but it's not strong enough for me to play. I mean, I was interested in the over, man. I still just think this Cardinals defense should be much worse than they performed. So, I mean, good on them for their coaching staff, But still 2 passing offenses that can get after you on a indoor track here. So, 44.5 seemed a bit low. It has ticked up to 45. So someone out there agrees with me. Unsure if I'm going to fire that one though, but yeah, we've talked all year about how this Cardinals team is a tough handicap, and I think the Vikings honestly are too, because as much as we've talked about, like, okay, Anthony Richardson, we don't know what to expect. I mean, Sam Darnold's kind of been the same way, like lighting it on fire, like you said, early in the season, and then the opposite, sort of lighting it on fire, torching it the last couple of few games, and they're overcoming it. They're still winning, but maybe he gets back on track though against this Arizona defense indoors. I could see that for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you said what you said there in that one, because I did play some over here in this one, and mainly because I'm just going to play on the good variants with Arizona, and if I get the bad side, then I'm just going to lose this, and I might lose this like handily. But I think with Kyler Murray and the skill set he brings to the table, there is a way and a path to victory with as much as the Vikings blitz. If they don't get home, like, Kyler Murray is maybe the best at like just picking a lane and friggin' taking off there is on the face of the planet. Like, the dude gets these weird 25, 30-yard scrambles more than anyone like I've ever seen. That like includes Lamar. Like, it's the weirdest. Kyler Murray will run 90 yards to get 30 yards. Like, it's like the weirdest deal along the way. And I think that's going to open up some lanes for him and possibly even increase some scoring chances for them. And I think Minnesota, while they have regressed, should be able to, I mean, God, there's nothing that stands out about this Cardinals defense. Like, nothing. Like a team should score points against this squad. And so at home, indoors, in perfect conditions, I can only imagine, while he didn't do it publicly, Justin Jefferson probably had some nice words for them after last game, in which he didn't get utilized at all in that game. And so I imagine he's going to be saying, get me the friggin' ball and all of that. And so, yeah, give me some points here in this one. And, I'm okay with being wrong. Seattle Seahawks on the road at the New York Jets. This has people on both sides of it. You can find ones on both sides, and you can find a pick 'em out there in the market. 41 all the way to 42 in the market as far as the total goes as well. You and I were talking before we came on air. It looks like the injury report has, at least from a running back perspective, broken okay for the Jets. On the Seattle side of things, they're pretty okay from a health standpoint as well, about as good as they could be asked for anyway. In this Geno Smith revenge game, right? No one's talking about the Geno revenge game here, the Geno revenge tour. Go in and get it done. What do you say here in a game that's basically a pick 'em?
Yeah, I'm excited for the Geno revenge game. This is spicy. I took some Jets though. I know nobody wants to touch the Jets. I took a few gross ones this week, but this is similar to the Falcons game, where you have a West Coast team on a long road trip against a team coming off its bye. So really bad situation there, and even worse here in a way, because the Seahawks are just coming off two monster divisional wins.
Mm-hmm.
I like selling at this point, and I think it's a Jets team that is built to stop the sort of offense that Seattle wants to run. That's the other thing, right? It's like the Jets hate to see a team like the Colts and the Cardinals that are going to come out, play smash mouth, hit them in the face, run it right at them. That's not what this defense is built for. They're built to stop a high-volume passing game. That's what Seattle is going to bring to the table. They can't run the ball at all. Their offensive line can't open up any holes for Kenneth Walker. I've been impressed with him at times, but it's like, what can you do behind this offensive line? I don't think it's his fault. So I think it's a good matchup for the Jets and a good situation for the Jets. So getting points, I think, is a little bit absurd. I took +1.5. I think you can maybe even lay a point or two here.
Yeah, I think the total is appropriate. If we look at this, I think the Seattle defense, kind of them figuring things out a little bit, kind of like we talked about with some of these other teams. Like, I think it took them a little bit longer to get going, but now that McDonald's been there for a while and whatever, like, I think this defense is actually for real. So I don't know if either team is going to have much success moving the ball and scoring on this. And so I kind of agree with the total. I really wanted to play an under in this, but I think it's about right. 42 seems about right to me in that one. So I'll sit back and watch this. I'm actually very interested in this game. This one's like a high watchability factor for me to figure out if this Seattle team really and truly has any juice at all, or if it's just kind of this paper tiger out there. Tampa Bay Bucks on the road at the Carolina Panthers. This is 5.5, 6 in favor of the Bucks on the road. 46.5 is our total. Well, I mean, what can I say? I say this, and I'm being genuine when I say this, Mo. I'm curious as to your opinion. Like, I think if we're just trying to be fair, since being inserted back as the starter, I think we can say that Bryce Young has objectively been decent. Like, I'm not saying good or whatever, or trying to say like, oh man, this guy's going to be a future of some franchise or something. But it was almost as if once they benched him, all the pressure and all the everything just kind of like went away, and they brought him back in. It's like, he doesn't look all scared back there anymore. He's kind of letting the ball rip a little bit more. All this, like, I don't know. I've actually kind of liked what I've seen from him the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, he's playing much better. I mean, like you said, he looks like he belongs on an NFL field. Yeah. That's a major step, right? Now, that being said, I don't know. I've been excited for the Panthers the last few. I fired them against the Chiefs, and I was pretty happy about it. This one, I think the market's starting to adjust to where the Panthers are at, because you're seeing sub a touchdown against a pretty solid Bucks team. Like, I know the Bucks are 5-6, but this team has had so many injuries. I think we can give them a pass for some of these losses. And I think closer to full health, I think we all know this is a decent team. So just the fact that this Tampa Bay team is close to playoff caliber and they're laying less than a touchdown against the Panthers, I think the market's starting to price in that this is a legitimately better Panthers team and a better quarterback. A couple of injuries in the receiving core there. And you have a Bucks defense that is pretty stout up front, but pretty poor on the edges, and has a bunch of injuries in their secondary. I'm wondering if this total is too low based on that, but at the same time, I don't know. I just don't know if these Panthers receivers are going to be the ones to take advantage of it, you know?
That is, I mean, when I saw that it looked like that Whitehead was going to miss for sure, and that Tyke Smith looked like he was going to miss for sure for the Bucks, I was like, maybe this is a total type play. And then I pumped the brakes. I mean, I like what Adam Thielen has turned his career into as much as the next guy and all of that. It's very tough for me to get there. I think though, that's the only play I would make in this game. I think there might be just enough spunk in the Panthers where a back door seems like it could always be open. And I don't know. This was tough for me to get to anything. I think the closest I got was to an over, and that's not completely off the table for me as the official injury reports are all coming through, but I think that's about as close as I'm going to get to making a play in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay team total over could be a look as well. Yeah. I don't know how the Panthers are getting stops in this game. I mean, we just saw the Bucks truck a pretty poor defense that's along these same lines, and they probably could have scored 50 if they wanted to in that game. Called off the dogs. Maybe they wouldn't do that against a division rival. I don't know, but I just don't see this game. I guess especially after Chris Godwin hurt himself in that ridiculous spot. Maybe they are always going to call off the dogs now, which is probably sharp. But I would lean to an over here or a Bucks team total over.
Rams on the road at the Saints. They are expensive 2.5 or cheap 3 favorites out there. 49.5 is our total. I put the 2.5 in the account on the Rams. I put it in often and whatever. Like the Saints, even these wins are so ridiculously fraudulent. If you look into them, it's just like, how in the holy hell is this actually what happened in these games? And being from Louisiana, and all my friends are Saints fans and all this, so I pay a little bit more attention to those games as well. This team is not good at all. And I actually think the Rams are legitimately good. We talked about this last week where it's like, hey, since the 2 receivers have been back, this is a pretty good pass offense. You can exploit, they trade away Marshall Lattimore. You can exploit the Saints team through the air for sure. I think under a field goal is a steal here for this Rams team. It wouldn't surprise me if they won at margin. So here's where you come in and tell me you're on the Saints.
Not on the Saints, but did think it was a little more fair than you did. I think this one, I just don't even know what to make of the Saints, especially the way I hardly know what to make of the Rams either. They seem like an NBA team, like a zigzag team, where it's just like you bet the Rams and they just absolutely poop the bed, and then you try to fade them the next week, and Matt Stafford looks like a world beater. I mean, I feel like that's been happening to me all year. So whatever, I'm staying away from them. We saw how this Rams team crumbled in the face of a more physical attack that the Eagles brought to the table. I'm not sure where the Saints fall on that. I think they can be very physical at times, like especially when they're utilizing Taysom Hill a lot.
Yeah.
We could see a lot of him in this game. If that happens, then I'd be a little bit concerned. Man, I definitely hope you're right. And yeah, like you said, no Lattimore. I don't know how they're stopping these receivers, but on the other hand, apparently MVS is good for at least 175-yard touchdown a game.
Yeah,
so
that's just that. Yeah, chalk that.
You have to price that in as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like you go back to that Falcons game. They win by a field goal. Falcons outgained them 468 to 365. The Falcons did have a turnover. The Saints did not. The Falcons had 25 first downs to the Saints 14. They had 35:07 to 24:53 on the play clock. If you look at this other stuff, it's just these like weird chunk plays like you're talking about that just turn into these massive touchdowns.
Yeah, they gave up a lot of yards to the Browns.
Jameis went for 3 whatever in that game and all of that. Like it's just they've just been on the right side of these ridiculously massive. Yeah, Jameis threw for 395 against them in that game. Right. So what in the world makes me think that Stafford can't go for close to 3 bills in this one too? I just can't get there with all that. So I really, really like the Rams this week against the Saints squad. Eagles and the Ravens in what is certainly the game of the week. Ravens are field goal home favorites over the Eagles, 50.5 to 51.5. Okay, so there's a full point difference out there in the market. So you can find a 50.5, you can find a 51.5 if you're looking to play the total here in this one. You and I talked about it on this podcast last week, and I think it was something that was interesting for me to see. We said, hey, look, this Eagles defense seems to be for real, but here come the Rams, and now we're going to find out if they're actually for real or not. I think they passed the test, and I think that this defense, Vic Fangio took a little bit of time to maybe settle in and get his guys going in his scheme and his whatever, but no one's going to argue whether Vic Fangio is an awesome defensive coordinator or not. Like we all believe that he is, and they went out and addressed the positions of need in the draft, Mo, and it seems like Fangio has figured some stuff out here with this. That being said, they're going in. It's a different animal for sure in taking on the Ravens in all of this. A game I cannot wait to watch.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I was leaning Baltimore, did not play it. I don't think I will. Just seems like a decent matchup for them in the sense of they struggle to stop opposing wide receivers. We'll see, I guess, what happens with Devontae Smith. I guess he did log a practice. I don't know how close he is to 100%. A.J. Brown is obviously a monster, so good luck there. But overall, you have an Eagles team that is 31st in pass rate over expectation. I don't know how much they want to adjust and try to come out and throw, which is what they should do in this spot. But when I see the number 31 by your pass rate over expectation, I get concerned that you're going to come beat your head against the wall and run into the teeth of a Ravens defense that, while it is 28th in pass defense EPA, it is second in rush defense EPA, second in success rate. So that is what they want you to do. Obviously, you have to do some running, especially when you have Saquon Barkley. But if I was an Eagles backer here, I would much prefer to see them come out and throwing the rock. But then in that spot, you're on the road against a Ravens team that has thrived at home in recent seasons. So I wondered if the Ravens should be 3.5, but I don't think I'm going to pull the trigger here.
Yeah, it's tough for me. If this got to 3.5, I think it would be tough for me to not play the Eagles. If I look at my power ratings, certainly at 3.5, it would tell me I was supposed to, with all of this. I do go back and kind of look, and as good as the as good as the Ravens have been against the run, it's like, Cincinnati, Commanders, Browns, Broncos, Bengals again, Steelers, whatever. Like they've placed a bunch of teams, the Raiders, Cowboys, literally bottom barrel run teams, right? And I know these are advanced stats and they supposedly adjust for opponent and et cetera. But like now you're bringing the big boys to town, right? Like now you're bringing Saquon and this offensive line and stuff. And so while I don't think he's going to go for 200 yards again or anything like that, I think that, I don't know if they're going to be able to bottle up Saquon Barkley. I just don't know if anyone can with this offensive line and what he brings to the table. So 3.5, I'd be a buyer at the Eagles. I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm probably just going to sit and like be super intrigued by what should be a fascinating game. And like you said, like, do the Eagles adjust what they do? Do the Ravens adjust what they do? All of this, like these coaching staffs, like going at it, I think it's going to be such a great watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to play some props in this game, I don't know. Maybe A.J. Brown is in a good spot with Devontae Smith being less than 100%. It looks like he'll probably play since he logged a practice, but hamstrings are tricky.
Yes.
Anything soft tissue, especially a muscle you're going to be using every time you run a rep.
Yep.
I get a little bit concerned there. It's just going to be a fun game. I wide range of outcomes probably especially with the way both of these quarterbacks can be. I mean, they're both capable of the spectacular, but we've seen them make some boneheaded interceptions at times as well. So Lamar Jackson is just the most elusive player I've ever seen in the pocket, I think.
Yes.
So sacking him is extremely difficult, but sometimes when he gets out, especially running to his right is like you're just going to get killed by big plays a lot, but the other way it can be bad at times. And straight back, he a little bit has too much trust in his arm at times. So yeah, I could see big swing plays happening all over the place here. So this is another one where get your live betting ready.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. I'm so glad we get this game this week. And finally here, Sunday Night Football, San Francisco 49ers on the road at the Buffalo Bills. This is widely 7. There's one expensive 6.5 out there on the Bills. 43.5 is the prevailing total. You saw Brock Purdy still not throwing for the 49ers, so I think our assumption would be that he's not going to go. The big story leading to this one, I'm sure you've already heard, but if you haven't, there's going to be weather, and there's going to be a lot of weather. Apparently, between now and kickoff, there will be 3 feet of snow. There was supposed to be another half a foot of snow while the game is actually occurring. We know snow doesn't always affect things, but whatever. I mean, when it's a ton of snow affects things and whatever. So this is a California team traveling across the country to come over with a quarterback with a hurt shoulder if he plays, and a bad quarterback if he doesn't play, going up against the Bills. Of note, Dalton Kincaid has already been ruled out there for the Bills in this one. Mo, when the line hit, I played 6.5 on the Bills. I thought this would get on the other side of 7, and it still might if Purdy gets ruled out with this. I have the Bills and 49ers power rate, which I can't believe I'm saying this in week 13. I have them power rated pretty significantly differently at this point. So given the conditions as well with all of that, I feel pretty comfortable in the 6.5 I have with the Bills.
I really wanted to play the Niners when I saw these. I mean, I was excited to play the Niners at 3.5 back when we thought the 49ers were a whole football team. And now at this point, it's like, I don't know how you can back the 49ers at all right now. I mean, I could see backing the Bills just because the downside seems more real with the 49ers right now. I mean, just looking at these players, I mean, you have a starting offensive guard hurt, Nick Bosa, Diamador Lenore, starting cornerback, Trent Williams. None of these players have logged a single practice this week. We haven't got the Friday report yet, but typically through Thursday, if you have not logged a single practice, you're probably an underdog to play. That being said, this is the 49ers. I don't know if I trust anything they put out from an injury standpoint, so would it stun me if all these guys played? It really wouldn't, to be honest with you. So this line could close 3.5, 4 or something if all these guys are announced in, and it could also close 9.5. So I just don't even know what to expect here. I don't understand why they didn't just play Josh Dobbs, to be honest with you. Brandon
Right.
Allen seems like he does not land above the threshold you need to play professional quarterback. So we have at least seen Josh Dobbs. I mean, we've seen him poop down his leg at times, but we've seen him win pro football games. I would at least maybe throw him out there. I know that maybe he's not the best fit for this system. So I guess it seems kind of curious that he's even on the roster. Yeah. He's kind of a guy who likes to freelance. I think Shanahan maybe is looking for more of a guy who's going to operate the system the way he wants it. So, but yeah, I think maybe shouldn't you just embrace the variance in a spot like this where you're 7-point dogs, possibly 10 on the road?
Yes. Absolutely. And this is why I played the Bills right off the bat, was mainly because I'm like, okay, look, I'm either getting a quarterback whose throwing shoulder is hurt in like terrible frigid conditions and whatever and all this, or I'm going to get a bad quarterback like going against the Bills. So that's the reason why I played it instantly. And I thought by now they would have made a decision on the quarterback one way or another, and we'd know where this line was going to end up. But by every metric, I have the Bills basically superior across all of my stuff. And so I'm kind of going to trust the numbers here with this one. It's a little bit more than I would like to be laying. But again, like I said, given the fact that this is going to be super ridiculously horrible conditions and the Bills are so used to playing in this and doesn't really affect them at all, I'm okay with it. We're rather a 5.5 than a 6.5, but whatever, like 6.5. So be it.
Yeah, it's a good position to be in when the Niners could be a broken shell of themselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, but again, this team out of all the teams is probably the team I'm trusting the least in terms of injury reports right now.
Yeah.
They've been all over the place. Like you had obviously the most high profile was the Christian McCaffrey. Then you have a couple weeks ago, Nick Bosa saying he doesn't think he can go. He goes.
Right.
George Kittle out of the blue doesn't go. I mean, it's just been ridiculous with these
shenanigans, as they say, guys. There's been a bunch of shenanigans going on there with that team. We'll be back with a standalone Monday Night Football video, guys. Again, everything we do absolutely free. Upper right-hand corner of thelines.com is the Discord. Go in there and chat about that, chat about games, and not only NFL, but we got college basketball going on. We got all the other stuff going on, so be sure and take advantage of that. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button here. Leave us a comment and give us a thumbs up. We do appreciate all the support here on the channel. Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. For Mo, I am Matt. Good luck on all your bets here in week number 13.